Welcome back to Tucson Now. Joined with us live here at the desk. Please help us to welcome a friend of the show, Mr. Brian Watson, Community Outreach Specialist of ROSE, R-O-S-E Resources. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me back, Devin.
Absolutely. Okay, so we were talking here a little earlier last week about some scams that are arising, specifically, of course, with the elderly and around the holiday season.
Right.
And there's also some people that are trying to jump on board and help out with that, right, in terms of legislation.
Right.
What does that look like?
So the big scam we're seeing right now is scammers sending people to cryptocurrency ATMs. A lot of times they'll be called a Bitcoin ATM. Right. And that's just because Bitcoin has the largest market share, 50 to 60%. But they look like regular ATMs, like you would see at a convenience store where you might pull out some cash to make some purchases. But these, you don't withdraw cash, you actually deposit cash. So there's one at the Tucson Mall. I was there the other day. I saw Santa, and that machine was right there. Right. And they're legal. And, if you want to invest in cryptocurrency, or more specifically Bitcoin or another crypto, you can do that. Right. Unfortunately, I work in the fraud prevention world, and we see the criminals sending people to these machines. Right. And it's very frustrating. And I've joked that I want to take the machine and drag it out into the parking lot and hit it with a sledgehammer, kind of like what they did on, was it Office Space with the fax machine, So, but we can't do that. Right. But there is a new law that the state of Arizona passed and went into effect in September, and it's called Cryptocurrency Kiosk License Fraud Prevention Law. That's a mouthful. Okay. But it basically set up some protections for consumers, because our government realizes this thing is a scam. And this was a push by a lot of police chiefs and departments and legislators. It was a team effort to get this thing through. Because
they were seeing a lot of the same things you are.
Mm-hmm,
okay.
Absolutely. And, it's always good, when you see a problem, government's role is to fix it. And I work for a nonprofit. We see problems, and we reach out to our government as well. So some of the things that they have in place, which are great. If you're a new customer, you're limited to only $2,000 a day. Oh, wow. Okay. So it mitigates any potential losses. And then there's supposed to be these warning signs on the screen that move around. Like you can't just click yes, yes, yes. It actually moves around. I haven't seen it myself, but and then you're given a receipt. So if you're sending money via cryptocurrency into an account, you get which cryptocurrency it was, the date, the time, the location, the hash, the digital wallet. And then the biggest thing is these operators are liable up to 30 days if there is fraud. So it's very important, if you've been defrauded using one of these cryptocurrency machines, you keep the receipt and you report it right away to law enforcement, and then you can get that money back. And so from the operator of the machine.
Oh, wow.
So in a way, what's going to happen is it may dissuade some of these operators from investing or renting these machines. So because, I struggle to find a legitimate reason to have these machines. Right. Now, I want people to invest in cryptocurrency, but you can do that from your phone, or you can do that at home on your a laptop, desktop. You can do that. When you use these machines, you pay a very high premium. There's extra fees involved. You're not getting your money's worth. And then the other argument is, well, what about people that don't have a bank account? You're telling them they can't invest in cryptocurrency. But, if you don't have enough money to have a bank account, do you really want to be investing in cryptocurrency? Right. It's usually, I don't know. So I'm struggling with it, because I see, and all of us at ROSE, we see the criminals using these cryptocurrency machines as a way to rip people off.
Yeah. Specifically, people of a certain age, right? People 50, 60, 70 years and older, just because when you think ATMs, when you think money in your hand, that's something that is quickly becoming a dated philosophy. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people, small businesses, a lot of groups that don't even accept cash. It's just cards now. And so to be able to see an ATM, specifically like your example, in a mall right next to Santa, it feels like an old practice. And I think that would feel like a false safety net to somebody who doesn't really get the crypto thing.
Right,
and I'm not really
right.
sure, like, how do I know that that actually happened? Well, I physically put some money in here and I see the transition, that kind of thing. It's very, very interesting. Okay, so with the ATMs specifically, when it goes to cryptocurrency, I mean, local churches here accepting cryptocurrency in their offering plate now, right?
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
it's becoming more and more integrated into our lives. And so I could understand why somebody would think, okay, well, maybe this works, right?
Right.
So what are we looking for in terms of spotting it with cryptocurrency being so commonplace in so many different areas of our lives, the church, mall, what have you?
Right.
What are we looking for to be like, maybe this is a little bit different?
Well, it's when you're forced to make a certain payment in a certain way.
Right.
Most of the times as consumers, we have choices. You're like you said, some places are going cashless. I've stayed at hotels recently where you can't get any cash. I wanted to break a 20 so I could leave a tip for housekeeping, and they're like, we're cashless. I was like, oh, okay. I got to walk over to a store nearby to get some cash to break it. But most of the times we're presented with options. We can write a check or we could do an online payment. It's when someone is demanding a specific form of payment. If someone is saying you have to pay this fine and they're telling you to buy this prepaid debit card at a big box store, huge red flag. Right. If they're saying you have to pay with cryptocurrency, there's no law enforcement agency, government entity, or business that's going to require you to pay in this one specific payment. But anything with cryptocurrency is just a huge red flag because you put that money in there and it's hard to get back. It's possible, but you got to find a law enforcement agency who has the expertise and the time, because there's a whole bunch of other victims ahead of you waiting in line to be investigated.
Oh, absolutely. And so then how long has this new law been in place?
Since September 26, 2025.
Fantastic. So what you're seeing in your nonprofit, has there been anyone since then that has been victim and been able to reach out and benefit from this?
Great question. That's why you're here, Devin. I love that question. I found out from our board president, Joyce Petrowski at Rose, that there was a lady, I believe up in the Phoenix area, who was able to recoup her money. And there's a reporter doing a story on it along with AARP. We all try to work together in the nonprofit world. We all share information and encourage each other and just help each other out. And I'm waiting for that article to come out because that would be very encouraging. We definitely want to talk to that person and find out about her experience and see, and to encourage others, because the big thing with the scams that I've learned is it's estimated only 6 to 10% of people report actually being scammed. So the numbers that we see that are put out by the FBI for their elder fraud report, they're drastically underreported. So anytime someone will tell their story and then do it in a newspaper article or a magazine or television, radio, we love it because it takes away that shame. It's
especially when it has a successful ending, like this woman sounds like it might have, and it sounds like it's setting a blueprint for success. That though the initial fraud might have all of those stereotypical shame and things that we've seen pinned to it, there is a way to move beyond that and be able to regain your own power in a successful way, maybe by recouping the funds that you lost in the meantime. So this sounds like it could be a blueprint for you guys moving forward. Is that kind of what you're looking for?
And absolutely. And then it's great when someone does tell their story, it hopefully prevents someone else from suffering the same fate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So is there, obviously, with your nonprofit, since September, since this has come out, has there been people that have been frauded that have come to you that have helped?
Not specifically. Not specifically. I mean, a lot of it's anecdotal. A lot of times it's things that happened to someone earlier. We do a lot of presentations. I've done about 85 presentations over the last 2+ years, and one of the things, my refrain in all my presentations is, it can happen to all of us. There's no shame, and the question I ask every single time is, what do you think is the number one reason why people don't report being the victim of a scam? And all 85 presentations, people have said embarrassment. Wow. And I get people coming up to me all the time after these presentations because I there's no shame. And I'll say, I know there's someone in this room that's been scammed. You get 50 people in a room, 25 people in a room, someone's been scammed. And they come up and they share their story. So that's the important thing. You know, we've had, I had one lady share with me at a presentation at the Oro Valley Police Department a while back. And she shared her story with me and wanted to share it with others. So I connected her with J.D. Wallace here at the station. And she was so brave. She told her story. But that's the thing, when a viewer watches this person, they see themselves and they're like, wow, I could have fallen for that. And it really helps. So that's what it takes, is just, you know, there's no shame. We share this information and, you know, we want to put the scammers out of business, but they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, absolutely. Now, when you're doing these presentations, and again, since this law has come into effect in September, when you are, I'm guessing that you tell them about this, you know, that we don't know how it's applicable and what it looks like right now, but how exciting is this? Is there a sense of hope moving forward, maybe solidarity with people that can actually help get maybe their funds back, or at least be able to, like we were talking about, see the path ahead for, okay, let's address this head on? Is there a message of hope?
Right. So our main focus is prevention. Sure. So when we do these presentations, we don't even want people to go to the ATM. We want them to recognize it, you know. So if we're at the point where they're trying to get their money back, you know, I don't want to say we failed, but that's not our goal. Our goal is awareness, where if someone feels like they're being rushed, they're being told to pay a certain way, and they're being sent to a cryptocurrency ATM, they're thinking, whoa, that's not right. And then they stop, you know, because for instance, a common scam, people always ask for specifics, like how would they do it? So you get that phone call and it's Deputy so-and-so from Pima County Sheriff's Department. You failed to show up for jury duty. There's a warrant out for your arrest. So there's that fear. There's that respect of law enforcement. I did something wrong. But then they give you the out. If you pay this fine today, we'll quash the arrest warrant. You relax. And then they say, okay, it's this much money, and it's a reasonable amount. And then they send you the QR code. And they tell you, they're very nice, they'll tell you exactly where the nearest crypto ATM is. So you drive over there. You walk up to the machine, you scan it, you feed in your cash, you think it's done. And you may not even know. Well, see, that's the thing with this law. We mentioned the 30 days. You may not even know you've been scammed. You know, some people don't know. I mean, some people realize it right away. But the thing is, these criminals always try to go back for more and more and more. They don't there because they're like $2,000. I want more than that. But that's a typical cryptocurrency. You know, they are legal, but they're fraud receptacles in my mind. It's just, I don't like them. I don't know if you've probably sensed that from
you know, it's a shock. Hearing you say that, a shock. I thought you adored them. It makes sense though, just because you see any kind of vulnerabilities in any of us, no matter the age group, there is a resource there and an avenue that somebody could be taken advantage of. And so that makes sense that you feel defensive, right, over the people here in Southern Arizona. So in terms of these scammers, these people that are reaching out, are they more prevalent during the holidays? Is there a busy season? I know that there's a whole lot of people, specifically of retired age, that come down to Southern Arizona because, again, we were talking about how beautiful the weather is. And so there's a lot of people that may not necessarily be in their home environment right now. They're in a place where they feel maybe a little bit more vulnerable to somebody calling and saying, oh, hey, this is how we do things here. You don't know, because they're not in their normal environment. Is there an uptick there?
So I'll just say criminals will take advantage of every situation they possibly can. So holidays for sure. You know, and there's scams related to the holidays that we can definitely talk about. There's scams relating to tax season. And then, or if like a natural disaster happens, the scammers will use that as an opportunity to raise funds. So I will say they are equal opportunity, and they will use any opportunity or unique situation to their advantage.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So what are some of those holiday scams that we should be looking out for right now in the season that we're in?
Just really shady websites. like deals that are too good to be true. So our advice is to shop at known businesses, ones that are that have a reputation, have a legit website. It's a little pop-up stuff. Anything on Facebook Marketplace, it's buyer beware. There's a lot of scammers out there selling really bad stuff. So if the deal is too good, just be leery. Puppy mills, people buy dogs for the holidays. And I mean, I've met a smart friend of mine who lost money buying a puppy, and they're really good at how they send you a picture. You fall in love with this dog, and then they keep adding little fees and that. So be very, spend a little more money. Yeah. It's worth it. And I would say lastly for the holidays is gift cards. You got to be very careful. I was just in a grocery store the other day, and I'm shocked at how they keep all the cards out. When there are known scammers that actually go around, pull cards off shelves, take them home, and they add strips to them. They do this or that. When I retired from the government a couple of years ago, my coworkers got me a gift card. It was one of the many gifts I got. Thank you to my former coworkers. And I went into a Dick's Sporting Goods to use it, to buy, I don't know, something for pickleball. I was getting into pickleball. Anyways, I digress. But anyways, it didn't work. Yeah. And I'm like, what? I just activated it, and sure enough, someone had compromised it, probably by going into a store where they're not locked up. I don't know if they put something over it or if they tore it open and they got it. But our recommendation at Rose is to buy prepaid cards that are behind the counter or locked up. Or order it online and have it sent to you, or you can order gift cards and just have the numbers sent to you. Right. I mean, I know we want that little card to hand to our relatives and friends, but again, those gift cards they're just too much fraud.
Now, I mean, to echo that sentiment there, my family went through a loss, and someone gave us, I think, like 10 different Walmart gift cards, and all 10 of them zero balance. They were all compromised. What was really cool about that, though, is that we were able to contact up the chain of some investigations in Walmart, and they were able to actually put all of the funds back on those
They made you
cards.
whole.
Yeah.
That
and
is
they
good
said,
to hear.
This is a huge thing. We had no idea. This was back in 2020. So we weren't made aware of it until 2020. But again, to talk about as an example of how far back this is going, back in 2014, my roommate at the time actually fell for a dog scam using a crypto ATM, one of the first ones in Los Angeles. And so way back in 2014, this was happening when they sent her a picture of the dog, and it was this little Pomeranian, and she loved it. And she was on a television show and was super successful and super bright and paid a whole lot of money using a crypto ATM because she had never heard of that before. It was still very, very new. And then it was gone. It was thousands of dollars that was gone immediately. And so that's when that kind of started playing in, my little, 21-year-old self. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? I had no idea. And then to 2020, and it's the gift card scam. And so all of that to say, it's not a certain person, right, that's going to fall victim. Just to echo your sentiments that you've said here on the show, but also in your presentations, it truly could be anyone that you want to believe the best. You want to say, oh, okay, or you want to take personal responsibility, and you have respect for the people that they're claiming to be on the other end of the phone, right? And so it makes sense. So when we're trying to be model citizens and still have faith in humanity when somebody makes a promise, what is like the number one thing that we need to keep in the back of our heads?
Well, the biggest thing is anything you do, move slow. The scammers want to, they'll contact you, and they want you to give you a compelling reason to act. So it could be fear. Fear is the biggest thing, because fear really has an effect on us. It's that fight or flight, and you panic. So like you get that phone call, your bank account's frozen, your Social Security account is compromised, you don't have, or your grandchild's in jail, your son or child's in jail, things like that, or you've won a prize, or like a deal. They send you a deal for something, and like, oh my gosh, that is so good. So they get you in a weird, not thinking right, and then they always ask for money. So you have to always step back. Is this too good of a deal? Or take a break. If you can just get off the phone with them, and break that cycle to have that control, you're going to be okay. So whenever I do my presentations, I always end on time is your friend. So that means you take a break. So like sometimes that means hanging up your phone, going for a walk, sleeping on it, talking to a friend, but you got to just break that cycle. And then a lot of people have told me as soon as they are no longer on the phone or someone's interrupted, they have a moment of clarity where they start thinking well again. And these are all smart people. When I started, and at Rose, our focus is older adults, so 60 plus. Everyone gets scammed. But as we get older, the more we lose. I'm not quite an older adult. I have a few years to go. But I use the word we when we do these presentations because, and I have parents in their 80s, so, I say we, but the thing is, we just, you have to move slow and methodical. And if you just interrupt that control that they have, you go, oh, you know what? I think I'm being scammed right now. I spoke to a lady who's younger than me, and she started falling for the jury scam. She believed it. Every time she had a question, that person had a valid answer, and it wasn't, and she was like on her way to in one of these crypto ATMs, and something happened. She told me she got interrupted, and then she was able to go, you know what, that's not right. And she was able to pull the parachute and escape from the situation. Wow. So,
that makes sense. Time is your friend in any kind of heated conversation, right? Anytime somebody is making an accusation towards you, you immediately go into a sort of fight or flight mode.
You do.
And so you're like, oh, wait, and you get on the defense and you want to hear them out. You want to understand, right? You're seeking to understand, but that makes sense across the board that time is our friend, that anytime we're in a situation that somebody has a hold of us, verbally or otherwise, to be like, hold on, let me take a step back.
It's like taking a time out.
Yeah.
Like,
hold the phone, quite literally. Take a breath. What happened? Hold on. Okay, wait a second. And being able to then step back in a more offensive way and say, I've digested what you said, and no.
Well, and the thing is, when we do we have an anatomy of a scam we do for Rose, and it's 3 parts. You're contacted out of the blue. The scammer gives you a compelling reason to act. I just mentioned those just briefly. And then the third thing is they always call for money in crypto, prepaid cards or Venmo, Zelle, whatever they do. But then the overarching theme is urgency. So they never will say, once they get you all riled up and got the money, well, like, think about this over the weekend, talk to a trusted friend, sleep on it. No. They literally keep you on the phone while you're at that cryptocurrency ATM. I've seen pictures of it where people are on the phone and they're in a panic. I was up in Yavapai County in October and went into a mall there. And this machine just pops. It sticks out because it's black with yellow. It's like, get your attention. And I went to check it out because that's my job. And this gentleman came up to me, said, "You're not being scammed, are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I do this for a living. I would never get scammed." Well, hopefully, knock on. But he said he works at the mall there and the store is within eyesight of this cryptocurrency ATM. And on his own, like a good Samaritan, he'll walk over and just check on them. And we need more people like that. And he said he has stopped so many people from that scam because he's broken that control. It's almost put them on a timeout. And then when they start explaining things to him, he's like, no, you're getting scammed. And I thank this gentleman. He should be given a proclamation from the county because we need people like that.
Absolutely. And so I think the onus then is not just on us in the back of our minds to have this information in case it happens to us or someone that we love, but also to keep an eye out. Like you said, these crypto ATMs, things of that nature, they do stand out on purpose so that people can easily spot them when you're on the phone, when you feel like you're in an emergency, when you need to immediately go. Because if there's confusion in finding it, well, that's an interruptible moment that can have you rethinking, right? And so to be able to spot those. And so it sounds like some of the responsibility can also be on us. As I'm taking my 4-year-old to go visit Santa and I see somebody approach something that looks very similar to what you're talking about, just to have a conversation, and say, hey,
right.
Maybe we think about that. You good? Are you okay?
Yeah,
You sure?
and you know what? It could end badly.
Sure.
You know, I remember one time I took my mom to a doctor's appointment. I mean, this has nothing to do with cryptocurrency ATMs, but it's butting in.
Right.
You know, like I said, interruptible moment.
Sure.
I may quote that. I like to borrow good lines from people, and it was a very small office,
Right.
and you know, you're not supposed to be on your phone because it's distracting. But this gentleman picked up the phone, and it's hard to hide a cell phone conversation in a small medical lobby, and he started confirming things. Oh yeah, that's my ad. He started giving away his address and said, no, I didn't buy that. I didn't buy that. I knew which scam it was.
Right.
It's a scam where you get a phone call or an email or a text saying it's some big box store and you ordered a Xbox or whatever the current one is now, and it's very expensive, and you're supposed to call to say I didn't buy it. Well, he was falling for it, and I'm squirming in my seat, going, Brian, just don't mind your own business. But eventually, I stood up and said, he's being scammed, and I looked at his wife and told her that, and she said, yep, and then she got him to hang up, and I was worried he was going to get mad at me.
Sure.
I mean, that's what it came down, because it would have been a very awkward time sitting in this very small office, and he didn't really even thank me. I think he was a little overwhelmed, but I didn't need to be thanked. I just did the right thing. But his wife was appreciative. But it could have backfired. But the same thing, like you're at a mall and you see someone at a cryptocurrency ATM and they don't look like they should be there. They look a little out of sorts. You can read people's body language. You know, if it's someone who's walked up confidently and they look like they've been there before, that's a different thing. But if you find someone, they might be older, they might be by themselves, and they're stressing, they're on the phone, maybe you interrupt and say, are you okay? Are you being scammed? I've heard about some, you know.
Yeah, especially when we're all spending a little bit more time in public places like the mall and things that have these crypto ATMs around the holiday season, right? Whether it's an uptick or not, there's going to be more people in that mall, and that provides so many more opportunities to be able to just reach out and make that connection. If it's not, received successfully, at least on your own conscious, you know that you reached out and at least created that interruptible moment so that they can self-reflect at a different time, right? Such a good conversation, Brian. Before we go, is there anything else you want to make sure TUCSON Now audiences know?
So we love people to go to our website, roseadvocacy.org, and it's a wealth of information, and there's videos and articles and, what to do if you've been scammed, things to share with family members and friends. And the biggest thing, right on the front page, you can sign up for our free monthly email. All we ask for is your name and your email address. We won't spam you. We won't sell your name. We're just going to give you some good information. We send out a big email once a month, and then on Tuesdays we send a very smaller tips. And the whole point of it is just to create conversations, starting points, and where we can talk to family members and friends and talk about scams.
Right.
Because the biggest thing is to just be prepared for when you are approached by a scammer, and we all will be. How will you react? And have you practiced, and do you know what to do?
Absolutely.
And there's our website right there.
roseadvocacy.org. This is what they're talking about when it talks about sponsoring a presentation, if you want to donate, and then all of these information and resources for you and those that you love. Once again, so many cool information out there. So many helpful information. Brian Watson there, Community Outreach Specialist of Rose Resources. Brian, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Devin. It's a pleasure for me as well.
Absolutely. From there, we are going to take a short break. We'll get right back to news coverage here on the other side. Stay tuned. You're watching TUCSON Now.